Mother Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria Q. Kane.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we are going to be covering some news stories with a very special guest, Kim Davis from the Slaycation podcast. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Slaycation, it's a true crime podcast that focuses on mysterious deaths and murders that happen while people are on vacation. It's really awesome. It just so happens this week there are numerous stories of people getting hurt on vacation, so we thought, who better to talk to about these stories than Kim? Hi, Kim. Thanks so much for being here today.
Hi, guys. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Before we get started with these news stories, you have to tell us how you got into forensics and how you got into the idea of this podcast, Slaycation.
Well, I'll tell you, I am, well, it's been said primarily by my husband that I'm the OG of true crime. It's always been something that's fascinated me. It's always been something that I've always been very curious about. When my husband and I first started dating and he had come to my house, he immediately noted my bookshelf covered, just lined with books on serial killers, murders. So he did make a mental note of that. And mind you, this is going back some time.
Did
So
he want to run
I,
away because he thought he was that you were going to kill him or something?
oddly enough, he was very curious, but he would always make that joke. But I will say he's it's been a little over 30 years ago now, so I think he's feeling a little safer now, at least
He
for now. No,
survived.
just kidding. um, so so he had noted that, and it was, so I was kind of consuming this content before even DNA was a real thing. Oh my God, think about that. I was reading about the Green River killer before DNA identified him as Gary Ridgway. So
Wow.
it's always been something that I've been very interested in and curious about. And my husband started doing podcasts in earnest when because initially he was the content that he and his business partner were doing were primarily centered on um, television, um, cable shows, that kind of thing, documentaries. And then when COVID found us sort of trapped in our houses, they decided to do they decided to enter the world of podcasts. And it had just come up one day where, my husband was asking me, because initially he had a show idea about murders and mysterious deaths while on vacation, and had asked me if if there was enough content for that kind of thing. And I said, why, yes, and then happened to rattle off a whole bunch. And he was like, oh. And the show I didn't really go anywhere, but he revisited again and was like, we should do a podcast. And I was like, no. So here we are, a year and a half later, doing a podcast. But it's been great fun. It's so fascinating. It's so interesting, just kind of delving into these stories and really getting to know the people in these stories, and getting to sort of you know even the perps in these stories, like what I'm always very curious about what makes that person that kills, maims, what makes that person that says I love you and then is plotting the demise of somebody that he so it just stays fascinating.
So it's interesting because of your history as a social worker. You said you used to specialize in domestic abuse situations, which, of course, we see that all the time with these true crime cases, that there's a huge component of that. So, how does your previous work life kind of come into this podcast?
Well, I'll tell you, I used to work in a crises shelter, so it was had to be manned 24 hours a day because somebody was always fleeing. Okay, and it, it's interesting in the respect that, um, particularly as I research these cases, is that there is a lot of overlap in terms of like really toxic and unhealthy behaviors, and how like some of the stories resulted in, you know death, which you all know intimately well, uh because of, just wanting the relationship to end, and always the signs before the actual event, you know and that's the interesting thing too that I always note, like when I'm researching the cases, is that, there are signs, there are things that kind of say, oh, that's not good. Oh, where they should have ran, they should have headed for the hills. There are certain things that happen, you know and it could be just even in the way that they address you, it is a red flag,
It's
you
interesting
know
because we know this couple in our real life right now that there's a lot of insane warning signs going on that
Oh,
I've said to
girl.
Maria, like, I'm like, one of these people are going to end up dead, like the way that these people are acting. You see it in your real life, because you're in a
Yes.
relationship that's normal, and you look at how these other people act and you're like, oh my God, this sounds exactly how this true crime case happened and this one happened. It's nuts that they have similar features a lot of times.
Oh, yeah, and you know what? Like, if you're yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, you see how your gut is responding to the events that are taking place in that relationship, you're correct. And it's unfortunate that we, and I'm gonna say women, don't pay closer attention to that and really acknowledge it for what it is, and that's a red flag, a big red flag.
Yeah, I
Um,
think in a lot of these cases, people are just so in denial, or they're like, that can't happen to me, or I'm observing this couple interact this way, but maybe I'm overreacting because I'm up all night reading these horrendous stories. But then when
yeah,
something actually happens, everyone's like, well, I saw it coming for months, but I just really never thought it would get there.
right, right. And I'll tell you, honestly, I'm kind of the opposite now. Like, I see things, and the idea that that person could take it to that next level and like seriously wound, if not kill, is kind of like on my radar. Like, it's crazy. And, you know, these are not things that I feel just happen out the blue one day. I feel
Yeah.
like there are signs, there are little incidences that let you know that, oh, something's not right. It could be just in the way the person is interacting with somebody else outside of you. It could be especially the way that they interact with family, the way that they interact with animals. Like, all of these things are important in the way of kind of giving you a glimpse into how and what this person is.
No, absolutely. And in your most recent episode, that actually all went down and really close to where we live. So when I was listening to this woman that went in the episode for our listeners, you guys have to check it out. This woman goes to this conference with her husband in Philadelphia, and she ends up mysteriously vanishing. And then you are such a great storyteller, by the way.
Oh,
I was
thank
so
you. I
captivated by it.
appreciate that.
Of course. And in this episode, you're saying that she ends up
going from Philadelphia to the Deptford Mall, which is it's close,
Oh my God,
but
that's my
no,
stomping grounds.
yeah,
That's
we grew up
so
right next to
funny.
Deptford.
Oh my
Um,
God, get out of here.
Yeah.
So you're talking about how she ends up from Philly to Deptford Mall, which is close, but as a tourist, it's kind of really far away. And then
It
she ends up being
is.
found dead in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's
Like, how
what
does that
happens?
happen? That's the thing. And that story was really crazy because that there was never really any conclusive resolution as to what really transpired. So the facts of that story are she went to the conference with her husband, went out to do some sightseeing, and then was found dead in um in North Carolina. And yes, there are sightings and eyewitnesses that said they saw her here and there. But the thing that we know for sure is that she was at the conference and then she wasn't, and then she was dead. And all the in between and trying to flesh through what could have happened. And, was it a mental health episode? Was it she was trying to get away from her husband? I mean, it's really that was especially fascinating. And that to me still remains like one of the most, I guess you could say, curious cases that we've covered. Um, just because of how it played out and because of her untimely death and where she was found was 600 miles away from where she was reportedly last seen by her husband. Weird. That was just so weird.
Yeah, it was very strange, especially because when people had seen her in Asheville and Philadelphia and Deptford, they had seen it was seemingly that she was coherent. So I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just a really bizarre thing. Like, I was thinking maybe she got drugged and taken down to North Carolina, but it seems like she was pretty aware of what was going on every step of the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I had a very strange episode myself, and not me personally, but like a very dear friend of mine had an episode where and how it came to be was I had texted her and then her husband texted me back and said, "Oh, she's in the hospital. She's been confused." And I didn't understand really like what that meant. But then when I went to see her in the hospital, it 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 she really was. So in other words, this story, the idea that she could have been confused and sort of disoriented and today now seems like a viable reason for her ending up in North Carolina.
No,
I don't
definitely.
know. Yeah, I don't know if I would have felt that way even 6 months ago, which is really interesting.
Yeah, but when you know somebody with a personal experience, it helps you connect it a little better when you're piecing together
Totally,
your research.
totally, totally, totally. I mean, it really changes your perspective, especially when you can sort of connect the dots in a way. Um, because of the experience that you had and sort of look at other reasons for the way something played out that you initially wouldn't even consider.
I love the theme of the I love a podcast that has a very specific theme because I think especially with vacation, every one of us could relate to it because we go on vacation and the last thing you think about is that you're not coming home,
That's right.
right? And I think
That's
that's
right.
what is very intriguing to people about your podcast because it's a scary thought when you're going to do something. Vacation is entertainment. It's supposed to be a positive in your life. And it's just
Right.
we have
Well,
so many story like just this week it was so crazy because we were having you on and I was like, "Oh my God, there's a bunch of stories that we could talk to you about this week alone about people that were on vacation." And in these particular stories, well, we could maybe talk about a couple more that happened this week where people ended up dying, but in these particular stories that we're going to start off with, the people got seriously injured and could have died, but it
and there's many
happens all the
stories like
time.
this.
Yeah, it's just like there's never ending. If there was at least 5 stories this week alone, and probably more because we don't even hear about all of them. Imagine a year how many are happening, especially people are traveling internationally, and it's a worldwide thing that could happen to people.
Exactly, exactly. And, and I think like in the wake of camera phones, and I mean, it's so weird when, like, look, girls, let me tell you something. I was around when, it's so funny because I was around like where there was one phone in the wall in the kitchen with a very long cord.
Me too. I was too. I didn't get a cell phone until I was 20.
Right, right,
I grew
right.
up in the
But I mean,
80s, like, you know.
right, 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 right. Exactly. Well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s too. So ladies, we know that like it's such a different time. Like the idea of us as teenagers, right? Prepping and taking selfies and doing all of that stuff just wasn't a thing. And
No.
so now, like there was this influencer who did influencer like while she was traveling and ended up trying to get a picture or take a video and was taken by waterfalls. I mean, it's it's crazy out here.
Well, yeah, and I was going to bring that up later in the episode, but I might as well talk about it now because I was going to ask you that. So the story that we're talking about, probably most of the stories that we're talking about have to do with people taking selfies, right? Especially
Yes.
specific to selfies, which is weird, but there's all of these statistics now about this, and it's not only people getting hurt, but it's also like really important pieces of artwork are getting messed up because people are backing up into them when they're I mean, it's like so outrageous to
It's
think
so
about it,
crazy. It
right?
really
But it
is.
it, it really is, and it's just like you wouldn't believe. This week alone there was two people fell in Bryce Canyon, dropped 400 feet to their death. I don't know if you heard about this, but their cat survived the fall somehow. I don't know why
What?
Why
you would
was the
ever.
cat with them?
Yeah, like who do
That's an
people
excellent
bring?
question.
Yeah, like it's so rando. But the cat was in one of those. It's a soft
Carriers.
carry, but like not the hard one, like a soft one. Like I use it to bring my cat if I have to bring the cat to the vet. But
I have that too.
they found the cat alive, 12-year-old cat, a 400 feet drop. Um, but the people, they don't 100% know what happened, but they do know that the couple had climbed over the railing, which, and they were likely trying to get pictures.
It's there for a
My
reason.
God.
And then at the Utah Arches Park again, just yesterday someone died. The statistics are that there's like 350 people that die a year at the national parks, and half of them are considered to be unintentional. So, I mean, they said the most common ones that happen are motor vehicle accidents, believe it or not, and then drownings and falls because people are. I bet you the falls are always due to taking pictures lately. Like that has to
I
be
agree a
a factor.
1000%. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many, just even the story that I just mentioned, it's just something with that distract, that distraction of the phone and the camera and the video.
Well, Ray, why don't you tell them about the first story?
Yeah, so last week, this 29-year-old man was visiting the Philippines. He decided to take a trip to the local zoo. So while he's there, he thinks he sees this fake crocodile. I mean, you're at a real
That's
zoo, but he thinks
right.
this
That's right.
crocodile
He
is
thinks it's
fake.
fake.
Like, what are you
That's
thinking?
crazy.
So then he climbs over the fence to take a picture with it, and of course it's real because you're at a real zoo, and then it starts biting him.
And then he's trapped. Like he can't just he's literally now being held hostage by
Yes.
this. Yeah, and that's crazy because who thought that would be a good idea? And
Well,
why?
the whole thing's on video, which is, of course.
Yes, I saw that. That was crazy.
Oh my God. I don't even know. And then you're like, they call it a death roll with these crocodiles where they're strategically rolling around their prey in this certain way to try to
Yes.
kill them. And then the zookeeper then has to go in and risk their life, hit the crocodile over the head with concrete to get it to open its jaw, which also Should the animal get hurt in the process when it's just being an animal and doing its thing?
Exactly. I agree 1,000% with you on that, because that does seem really unfair. And, just because basically you're you're going into their house
Yeah, we
and
say
Yeah.
this all the
disrupting.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
I
you're
mean,
going into their house.
it's good because at the end of this story, I was expecting to hear that they euthanized the animal and they didn't, because
I
usually
was
that's how it ends, and you're like, what did the animal do?
exactly. The animal is just trying to live. That's it. And yeah, I was actually relieved as well that they did not hurt the animal. I got to say, when I was reading the article, I was feeling bad that, that the zookeeper had to take a stone or a rock to, I was like, oh my God, that poor animal. Like, I was feeling sorry for the animal,
Yeah.
but, it's crazy. I had also read that they also wondered if the man had some mental health issues, which, again, could be. I don't know. Um, but one does wonder, like, you know it doesn't seem far-fetched to think you could be a little off you know getting into the space with a wild animal, oh,
Well,
willy-nilly.
accidental deaths are far more common in men, so it wouldn't be unheard of that
It's
this was just some like dumb shit this guy did. It is cool to watch the video though, because like Maria was saying, that you could see this death roll thing they do, because
Yes,
their teeth aren't designed to work like ours. They basically just go down and clamp down, and what they do is they shake the body from side to side basically to rip it
yes,
apart so they could swallow the pieces whole. It's
yes.
outrageous. But crocodiles have the strongest bite in the animal kingdom. I don't know if you know that.
I did not
Um
know that.
3,700 pounds of pressure when they're biting on someone, and a human bite is 162 pounds of pressure. So think
Oh my
about,
God.
like, I just bit my lip the other day and I saw stars, and that's 100. It's probably as hard as I could because I was like trying to chew through a pepper. And it was 100, that's 162 pounds
I
when a
know,
crocodile's
exactly.
3,700. Yeah. So imagine, he was screaming, obviously.
Yeah, I would say. And he
Yeah,
had to get 50 stitches. I kind of can't believe he
yes.
survived it.
No, he was very lucky. He was very lucky because, when you think about that kind of trauma on the body, it almost invites other medical episodes to occur because, he's lucky. He's lucky he didn't have a heart attack. He's lucky, that he didn't bleed out. He's lucky that, there was just, it's crazy, but what occurred was the best case scenario given these set of circumstances.
Oh yeah, he could have left with an amputation, or like you said,
Oh,
he could have
girl,
bled out.
yes.
I mean, like paralysis, anything like that. So, and another interesting thing I want to bring up to you that we've noticed, because people submit videos to us all day long, that there's a lot of citizen journalists that are trying to get the next viral video, and a lot of people. I mean, in this case, there's nothing really patrons of the zoo could have done to help, but a lot of times people are just videoing people suffering and not even assisting. It's so bizarre.
It is. Yeah, that's true. That is true. 'Cause everybody's out with their phone.
It's the phone is a very interesting thing that enters into this whole world of true crime slash just covering deaths and accidents. It's just a very it's a very interesting phenomenon, and we see it sometimes with people. The most recent one we talked about was the shooting at Florida State University, where a video went viral of a person who got shot during the shooting, and someone walked by like holding a coffee cup, just videoing this girl on the ground bleeding out. And not even saying like, "Hey, are you okay?" Nothing. It was just
That was
so weird.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange. And it's more pervasive than you would even think. Like, that's not even out of the ordinary.
No, I
you
mean, it's
know.
just normal behavior anymore, especially for millennials and Gen Z. They're just
Well,
so worried about being on TikTok and not worried
Yeah.
about,
I was
helping a person that's bleeding out in front of
and
them.
Kim, I was just going to say that to you. Like, we grew up and we're normal, and in our 20s and 30s when we started using phones, it wasn't our whole life, and it's
Right.
like so.
That's
I
true.
oftentimes, I mean, sometimes, and you can ask Maria. Like, sometimes I don't touch my phone for 5 hours a day. Like, I don't
Right.
need it.
Right.
It's just over there,
Yes. Yes.
and
Especially when work needs to get done and I'm
well,
waiting
I
for an
don't care.
answer from you.
I'm from the school of like there's never going to be, and you'll never be able to tell me this, that someone has to be able to get a hold of me at all times. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'm not
Yeah. No,
at
I
everyone's beck
totally.
and call.
Right. No, totally. Totally. That's the thing. And I get that a lot too. Like, why don't you answer your phone? Um, because I'm doing something else. I mean, it's true. It's true. It's like it's it really is like a new era, if you will. And and the era is such that we are surrounded by people that don't know anything else.
Yeah, yeah. And don't you miss the days like I remember before caller
Yes.
ID came out. Like, it just was awesome.
Girl,
You
remember?
just Yeah,
Rem-
you just like, oh, someone might be calling me. I'm just not going to answer, and that was it. Loved it.
I know, right? Oh my God. Remember? You could just like leave the house
Yes.
and just be like, okay,
Oh, you called?
it's
Sorry, I didn't know. There
hilarious.
was no answer machine. It was just like, oh, they
The
call, like,
busy
you could
signal.
just play
Remember the
dumb.
busy
Yeah.
signal?
Yeah, before call waiting and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. How funny is that?
I mean,
I
maybe we should
laugh
bring it
because
back.
I gotta say, I think my daughter would lose her mind.
Yeah. Oh no, kids wouldn't know what to do with themselves. It's
No,
it's
they would have no
terrible.
idea. Like, imagine not having a phone. Imagine just stepping outside your house and just go shopping. Go like it's so far removed from that era because we are so dependent on our cell phones.
I forget my
And
phone often when I go out, and everyone has a meltdown if they can't. Like, oh, she dead. Like, I'm just like, I just don't care about it.
right, 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 right.
This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, today I just posted the most outrageous. I say this about everything, right? That everything's outrageous because it is. It's just like everything one's up another video from one of our listeners and gross room members into the gross room about something very unusual one of her friends found when her grandmother died, and it is really a cool video and a cool story. So I want you guys to check that out. I won't be posting that on Instagram. That'll be exclusive for the gross room. Um, what else are we covering in there this week? Oh, we have that crazy Lori Vallow story that's going on all month for us, basically. That's going to be our high profile death dissection for the next few weeks.
Yeah, we have that. And then coming up too, we're going to cover physician assisted suicide. So that's going to be really interesting. And as usual, we just have crazy posts, like you're saying, almost every single day in there. So you guys want to head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up. Okay, so our next phone dependent person needed to take a selfie so bad at the Colosseum, and their picture wasn't good enough, so they decided to climb the fence, and on the way down, they became impaled.
Oh my God, that was absolutely crazy. That was crazy.
This
And this
happened in
was
Philly last year.
really,
At one of the stadiums in the middle of the night.
Oh, yeah.
What was it? Somebody was running from the police or something? Something happened and somebody climbed over one of the fences at the stadiums and their leg got impaled on the fence and they were hanging upside down.
oh my God.
Unreal.
Like that just sounds awful. I mean, this guy, and this happened just a few days ago. Like it says May 2nd. Like he's probably still in the hospital. Holy cow. And here's the thing. that too is also the best case scenario when you consider that in that position, he could have just bled out.
Oh yeah.
And it's
Yeah, I
and it's
mean,
like,
he had
dude,
to get 80 stitches. 80.
yes, yes. I mean, it's like, dude, was it worth it? Like, come on. Like, what made you think that that was a good idea?
I don't know, but listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Like when we go, my family and I travel a lot. We take road trips and go to these national parks. My husband always goes like over the bar, and he's a firefighter, so he has no fear of anything. And the
Okay.
whole time, I'm just like, my heart's beating, and the kids are like, "Can we go with them?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. I don't care if you think I'm the biggest, like Karen, whatever you want to call me. Like you are not. There's a reason that that
Mm,
thing's there, and like there, so like I live with somebody that does stuff like this that it just
right.
when they say don't
Yes.
take pictures, I kind of am like, okay, I don't want to get in trouble, I'm not going to take a picture. He like no regard, like
He's
I'm here and I'm documenting this thing, right? Like
well, I guess it's the is sort of the nature of firefighter. I mean, they're not afraid of danger in the way that we are. I would have to reckon
oh my god,
because
it's
yeah,
terrible.
Can you
it's
imagine paying all that money to go to Italy and then you see the impalement happen and you're like
Oh,
traumatized
I'd
the
oh
rest
love
of
it.
your
I would
trip?
love it actually. That would be I'd be like
For
this
you,
trip
but
was
you're a freak
definitely
and you that's
worth
I
it.
know. Look, freaks like us, yeah, I would probably. I admit I'd probably be like, "What's going on? What's going on? Move so I can see."
Now that so you cover all this true crime stuff, like when you see the autopsy photos and stuff, are you interested in it or does it bother you?
Yes. No, I'm very interested. I wish that I could just view autopsy photos. Really, I literally go online to see if there are photos.
We're gonna have to
I
give her a membership to the gross room because
yeah, our
that's
website,
our
that's all we
girl.
websites every
cover.
day,
Oh
all
my
day,
God,
every
that would
day.
be such a gift. I got to tell you, I missed my calling. If I went into medicine, that's what I would be doing. If I went into medicine, I would be doing pathology, or I would be a medical examiner somewhere, or, a pathology assistant. Like I truly missed my calling, you know.
No, you didn't. You're doing this and it's awesome.
That's true. That is true. That is true. The only thing that I think would freak me out are the bugs.
It's bad because whenever I would get a specimen or a body that had maggots on it, like I feel like
That's
I have to
right.
go home and take a
You
shower. It's terrible.
That's right. So you've been there.
I can't explain it to you. It's just like you're just sitting there and you're like they're crawling all over me. It's just the weirdest
Girl,
thing.
no,
I
I
always am like I
believe
have to
me.
go home.
I can't even imagine. I can't. That would be the thing too that would have me. My response would be very similar. It's still
Well, think about
fascinating.
Dr. Bird. Last year, we interviewed a forensic entomologist. He specializes in dealing with the bugs. So
Are you
imagine the,
serious?
there's some people that interested in it that they want to specialize in it.
He loves
You
the
know,
bugs.
look, let's face it, bugs are interesting, especially bugs that you find on dead bodies. If I didn't get the heebie-jeebies like I do, I would be very fascinated. I would be very fascinated. It's just again, I mean, the human form, the human body is just so interesting, and you know, so yeah, autopsies, that kind of thing. I find reading those reports absolutely fascinating.
You know what's interesting that people don't really think of? So, as a PA, I've worked in surgical pathology and autopsy, and when I get a leg in surgical pathology that has maggots on it, it just grow it I don't want to say gross because it's not gross. It just gives me like you said like
The
heebie-jeebie
heebie-jeebies.
feeling.
Yes,
And to
exactly.
think that that leg was just attached to a person that's alive, that's what really freaks me out.
It's
Like when
ki-
you see bugs on
right.
a dead body, you're like, okay, they're dead. They're supposed to be gross, but this is like a whole other level.
That is a whole other level. That is. Does kind of cause you to pause and go, wow.
Like, could you imagine having a maggot infestation on your body while you're alive and alert?
Girl,
I just
and I
can't.
know that that's a thing. I know
Oh,
that that
yes.
is a thing. I mean, but I got to tell you, I can't imagine. I cannot imagine. And they thrive in that environment. Like it's so gross and fascinating. It really is.
So we had a case in the gross room fairly recently about a person that had gone on vacation. So this is a vacation story, and came home and had this itch on his neck, and it looked like a mosquito bite, and that's what he thought he was. And then he went to the hospital, and no, it wasn't a mosquito bite. It was a
Girl.
bot fly under his skin from traveling to a tropical location. Yes.
Oh
And I'm sure
my.
you don't you hear about this when people travel to places like that, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, I did read something like that a while ago, and it was a woman that was hiking, and this was years ago, and a fly flew in her ear. She had like maggots in her brain.
Oh god, no. Ugh.
I know it's so crazy,
No,
but
it
yeah,
happens.
it
Ugh.
does happen. Yeah, yeah.
It is funny
We
to think your
literally could
husband
talk
came to
about this all
you.
day.
No,
I
totally.
know,
And
right?
it's funny to think your husband came to you and was like, "Do you think there's enough content to talk about things that happen to people on vacation?" And it turns out it just will never end. You have endless
Exactly.
content.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right. And yeah, we do. We do. We actually have a spreadsheet of just so many names. It's crazy. It really is.
And it's like
You know.
it's like that on this show too. Like we have to cut so many things every week because there's just so much of it that we just can't cover it. We could do an episode every
Exactly.
single day, like easily.
Ex- Exactly. Exactly. Isn't that shocking?
It's
Yes.
awesome. It's kind of like humans are
It
gonna keep
really
being
is.
humans, so keep it
No,
going,
oh
and then
my
we'll always
God.
be employed.
Exactly. Exactly. That's really
Well,
something.
this is another animal attack going to earlier. So this 68-year-old woman was snorkeling in southern Australia, and suddenly this stingray came up behind her and stung her with its 6-inch barb. Horrific.
Yes. Yes. And she's
We're going
lucky it
snorkeling
didn't
soon.
penetrate. Oh my God, bro, stay away
I
from
am not.
those. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it said that the barb pierced her right arm just above the elbow, and she likened it to like being bitten by a dog. And it's lucky it didn't like go through a main artery. Again, a
Oh yeah.
situation where, in spite of this, it was the best case scenario because she was able to get help immediately. Holy cow. Holy
Yeah, this
cow.
is one of those near misses. It went right next to her brachial artery, and she was still
Yes.
bleeding a lot, actually. And that's the thing. Like, if you ever get injured in the water like that, you want to get out if you're bleeding like that, because then that's going to attract a
Yes.
shark, like literally.
Oh my God. You're so right about that. Yeah.
I
Think
didn't even
about
think
that
about
for a
that.
minute.
And
Yeah.
the stingrays have like a double whammy when because the barb is actually serrated like a knife would be, like a steak knife with the little teeth on it, you know?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like that, but it also has toxin in it that could make necrosis in the area. So for her especially, so I don't know if you remember, this is how Steve Irwin died.
Yes. I
The
remember that very
crocodile hunter.
clearly. Yes. Yes. I think he got it right through the chest.
Yeah, so for him, the necrosis wouldn't have been an issue, obviously, because the thing stabbed him. It's crazy. The cameraman, and they had it all on film, witnessed the whole thing and said the thing just went nuts and was like repeatedly stabbing him in the chest. But if a piece of the barb can sometimes break off inside of the person, it could cause tissue death around that area. So a person that
Wow.
survives it, they have like that to worry about too, not just bleeding out.
It's very bizarre
That's
because the woman was saying is really out of character for the stingray to attack. They like
Yes, yeah, I had read that as well, that it's not that typically stingrays do not attack people. They
No,
don't, that's
they're
not their nature. They're pretty docile.
yeah, they're generally not aggressive unless they feel threatened. So it's interesting because she was a researcher, so I assume she was doing all the proper things. But I guess sometimes people could step on them by accident too, which triggers an attack. It's weird with Steve Irwin that he was repeatedly attacking him in that way. I didn't really know that fact about it.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of
Yeah.
things that it stabbed him and he pulled it. There was like a lot of hearsay about it. I did a celebrity death so in our website we were talking about every week we do a celebrity death dissection or a high profile death dissection where we go through the autopsy of like how a person died and stuff and I did one on
Wow.
yeah, you're going to love it. You're going to be like all
Girl,
on that.
I already, yes, yes, that is correct.
But
That is
yeah,
correct.
he had a cardiac tamponade, so it pierced his heart and caused him to bleed out. And not only do you bleed out from a hole in the heart, but also the blood accumulating in the sac around the heart
Yes,
compresses the heart
yes.
too and causes an
Right. So
arrhythmia. Yeah,
oh my God, yeah. So you can't breathe, you can't, oxygen is not going through the body. Uh,
no,
yeah, that was really, really sad. Um, but yeah, I mean, this woman was incredibly lucky. Um, because it could have been a disaster in a whole other way.
yeah, and I think that the largest ones have barbs that are 8 inches long. So I mean, this one was 6 inches long, so it was a pretty big stingray. I mean, and then to think that someone like Steve Irwin, who was so experienced with these animals, actually died from that, that would freak me out, you know?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So the woman had said that she's going to actually keep the barb as sort of like a souvenir of survival, which is kind
That's
of
cool.
cool, isn't it?
No, it is cool because I would do something like that too,
Y-
but some
Me
people would be
too.
so traumatized, you know?
Oh my God. Yeah. No, look, things like that fascinate me. Like my cat, for example, had to have emergency surgery. Because he was eating strange things and there was some kind of obstruction. And I just happened to say to the surgeon that was going to, the vet, I said, could you just keep it for me? I'd like to see. And I saved it. And it, of
Oh, that's
course, was
cool.
this. And it was like, those like yoga mats, yeah, that's what it was. And I was like, yeah, so stuff like that totally fascinates me. And like you, yeah, I would have definitely been like, yeah, can I keep that? I'm going to take that home.
Well, we were just talking, was it last episode about it was one episode this week about a woman who was voluntarily cutting off her body parts and cut off her nose and was saving all of these body parts she was cutting off in jars in her house.
Oh my God. That is so like, why? Fascinating. But I don't know about cutting off your own
It's
body parts. I mean, you know,
whatever. That's what I said to Maria. I was like, listen, if I'm going to cut off my nose, I'm going to keep it in a jar. Like, well, I have my kids' placentas in jars in my house. Like,
I
I
love
keep
that.
stuff. I'm a keeper.
Girl, I love that. That makes me wish I had done the same thing. I mean, I have her teeth and I have her first hair from her first haircut, but I didn't think of that. So you guys are near Philly, right? So you must have been to the Mutter Museum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got married
Yeah.
there.
Oh my God. Where have you guys been all my life? Yes. Yes.
I know.
That
I'm like,
is,
she's going to be the most active member in the gross room,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like,
it's true. It's true.
no, it's
Um,
you're going to
Definitely.
kill me because you're going to be busy for like the next 6 months reading. I mean, I've been doing it for 5 years. There's like thousands of posts on there now.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're going to have fun.
That yes. I- Just thinking about it is, I love that you got married at the Mutter Museum. I gotta say, I wish I had thought of that.
There were lots of uninvited guests at my wedding in the
I,
background.
I bet,
Photo
I
bombing.
bet, I bet. And the funny thing is whenever I'm in Philly, I always try to hit up that place.
Yeah, you have to let us know next time you're around because you
I
have to come
will.
over my
I
house and see all
will.
my stuff.
I am there.
All right,
I am
awesome.
there.
All right, so this last case that we're going to talk about has nothing to do with vacation, but I figured you'd be interested just because you're a true crime junkie.
Yes. Yes, I am. And this is especially fascinating because, again, it was DNA, an old fingerprint. It's and here we are. The person. This was a murder that took place in January 1977. Holy cow!
Yeah, absolutely crazy.
That was like 2 years before I was born. It's it
Yes,
you,
yes,
you
yes.
know
And
what
I
I
was
really love?
10.
Yeah, like you know what I really love about these old cases? The investigators may have not really known that DNA was ever going to be on the horizon, but they saved the right stuff to test it in the future.
Yes,
That's I think that's
yes.
so cool.
That's, yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, when you think about this, right? I mean, and just when these people probably had gotten to a point where they thought, I got away with it. It's like, nope, surprise, surprise. I gotta
That
say,
is the coolest thing.
isn't it? I love that for them. I love that for them to finally, that they get what's coming.
Yeah, the dude's like almost 70 years old. And
Yes,
and it's like
yes.
good. You did think you got away with it. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. We love that for them. We love that because it's just disgusting to think that you snuffed this young woman and she didn't get to watch her son grow up. She didn't get to go to his graduations. She didn't get to be a part of his life. So yes, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, so the specifics of this case is that this 24-year-old woman was found dead on February 1st, 1977. The last time she had been seen was the night before, leaving a bar with an unknown man. And she was found in a Volkswagen Beetle in the back seat, strangled by a long sleeve t shirt. It looked like the car had been the killer tried to set the car on fire, but had failed at that. So after all this time, they found this fingerprint on one of her cigarette packs, and
Right.
they've now been able to identify this man that's 69 years old. This I always cite the Golden State Killer case because that was like mind blowing to me when that all happened.
Yes.
And I just
Yes.
recently read Paul Hull's book, going kind of step by step about how they did that. And I think this is such incredible work all these years later, and that these investigators are still so devoted enough to try to solve this almost 50-year-old
Yes,
case.
yes, yes. His name was Willie Eugene Sims, 69 years old, and they got him. He was in Jefferson, Ohio. And I love this for you, Willie Eugene Sims. Yeah, it's crazy. And again, the thing that always kind of makes me wonder is what who does that? Who does that to people and why? It's just crazy to me, you
Yeah, and
know?
Well,
it's never a
he's done
one-time
it, but
thing.
he did it a year later, right? And got caught,
Yes.
but not
Yes.
he didn't kill the person, right?
Right. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and I think at the time, so this crime happened in California, which again, it's insane. He's in Ohio now, so they were able to find him through there. But I think at the time, they maybe didn't put his DNA in the system because you know how before we had the genealogy, more public
Yes.
systems, they referred to CODIS, but it didn't seem like he was in there.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was.
God,
No,
people got away with murder so much.
literally.
Oh my
Literally got
God. Girl, they did. They did. I mean, that's the thing that's just so mind-boggling, just and multiple killings like Barry Ridgway. It's like and there's and the book that you read of the golden the one in California who
Yeah.
holy cow. So it's very rewarding to me to see them get what's coming. That always feels good.
Yeah, we always say that everybody that committed a crime is probably like shitting themselves now, knowing
Oh my
that they're
God.
just going through
As
everything, checking the
as they
boxes.
should be. Exactly. As they should be. Okay. As they should be.
Yes.
I'm glad. Science is amazing. It's amazing. And it's amazing to think just how far we've come from even just like 5, 10 years ago, how
Oh,
far
yeah.
we've come. It's pretty crazy. It really is. And pretty amazing too.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and all those women that had kids that they didn't know who the dad was and all that.
Right.
That
Oh, girl. Remember when that could be a secret to the grave?
yeah.
I mean, can I just tell you, I have at least 2 friends that found out without even knowing. One found out that her dad was not her dad, and another friend found out that the landlord was her dad.
Oh my
God.
God. That's
Oh,
like
right.
traumatizing, right?
Girl, it
Thinking like
really
not
is.
I can't even imagine how
I can't
upsetting that
even.
would be.
No, because it brings so many other things into focus now, doesn't it? I mean, it's like, seriously, Mom? Seriously. Are you kidding
Oh,
me
yeah.
right now? The landlord.
Well, we were just talking about that because there's a couple cases of like famous people that there's always question about, like Prince Harry, and then who's the other one?
William
Frank Sinatra and
Franks.
Oh, and
Okay.
Ronan Farrow.
Ronan Farrow. Yeah, like
Oh, right. Mia Farrow's son.
yeah,
Yes.
See,
yeah.
part of me thinks
Because
that
he's supposed to be Woody Allen's kid. Like,
yeah, but part of me
Yeah.
thinks that, like, he would want to get the DNA test because you wouldn't want to be tied to Woody Allen, but at the same time, he might want to protect his mom's integrity, so he's not doing
this
it.
is what I think. I think that he's done it and he knows, and he's waiting for Woody Allen to
Oh.
die to get the money, and then afterwards he's going to come out.
I don't think he's getting the money at this point. I mean, I just wrote a book Ronan Farrow wrote about Harvey Weinstein, and he touched a lot on the pedophilia of his father in that book. So I would say it's safe to say he's probably cut out of the wills.
Well, just in case. He better keep
Right.
his mouth shut for another
Right.
couple years.
Just hang in there. Just hang in there. Keep your eye on the dollar.
I think he's protecting Mia Farrow. That's my
You think
thought
so?
Well,
about
maybe
it.
he'll wait till
Well,
she dies.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
because I think if your biological father ended up being this pedophile and then ended up marrying your sister, I think that you would want to do everything in your power to prove you were not related to that person.
And plus, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, listen, I used to like Woody Allen before all this, so he's equally like was
Girl,
cool.
me
But
too. Me
I know, like
too.
some of his movie, I just like the whole thing bothered. It's the same
Isn't
with
it
Michael Jackson,
heartbreaking?
though.
Yes, girl. Yes, yes. We could have a whole other podcast on that stuff, couldn't we
Oh
now?
my God. Like, I was really obsessed with Michael Jackson my entire life because that was like when I
Oh, who
grew up.
was it?
I
Yes,
know.
exactly. Exactly.
And when you hear the songs, it just like makes you feel good and it reminds you when you're a kid and stuff. And I'm like, why him? Why?
Right, right, right,
And
right.
I just like can't even tell my kids, like, you got to love this guy. Like, cause I'm
I
like,
know. You can't.
yeah.
You can't.
Like,
I know.
You
I
really
know.
cannot.
Right. It's sad. It really is.
Well, Kim,
Oh,
thanks so much for
well,
being here with us. This was so much fun.
it was so much fun. Thank you guys so much for
You
having
have
me.
to
When
come
I saw
back.
your yes, and I will. When I saw your the title of your podcast, I was like, "Oh my God, my people. My people.
Yes, for sure.
We have
Tell
found each
everyone,
other."
tell everyone where they could find you.
I
You on Instagram, where are you
I
at?
am on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Slaycation, WTF. It's one word, and it's exactly how it sounds. You can find us on Facebook, Slaycation. We have a closed group if you want to get into the nitty gritty with us. It's Slaycators only. So come on down. And I'm actually on Instagram as my own personal, as That Girl Knits. So if you're curious about crafting and like to see what I make, That Girl Knits is the place to be. If
We're
you
huge
want to learn to
crafters.
She's gonna be our best friend. Like
Yes,
we're like
writer.
huge craft people too.
Oh my God. Ladies. Yes. Yes.
Wait, can I tell
Oh,
you what Maria got me for, was it my birthday?
I don't-
Or
yes.
Christmas?
What was it?
She got me electric scissors.
Oh my God.
They
That,
I
had
didn't
them
know
at
they'd be that
they
life
had them at
changing. I find
Joanne
this so
Fabrics,
funny.
well, Joanne Fabrics isn't even open anymore.
R.I.P. Joanne.
But the girl used them to cut the fabric, and I was like, and me and her looked at each other and were like, "That's awesome." So she got them for me. I use because I'm like, I get really into my kids' school projects. I've been working
girl.
on one with her now for like weeks because I always want it to be the best thing ever, you know.
Yes.
But
Yes.
you
And
have to get the electric scissors.
I am, I'm there. I'm on board. I'm on board.
They cut through cardboard like butter. It's just amazing.
My God.
Yeah, it's good.
I find this so funny. You're so interested in this gift. I thought for sure you were going to make fun of me for buying them for you. And
Oh my God.
No,
See,
I
it
use
just
them so
goes to
much.
show you. You see? You see that? You see, that's the whole thing. I mean, you never know, but something you tapped into something. Maria. You tapped into something. So I don't know what to tell you. There's some psychic thing that you got going on that you knew, okay? Because that's a great gift. I'm here to tell you. And it's like
I
feel-
those little things, you know?
I feel like it's that quote where it's like, "Are you my new best friend?"
Exactly.
It's true. She's gonna come over here and be like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" And yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Come back again, please.
Girl, I will. I will. I look forward to
Thank
going
you.
over the crazy stories and the latest Slaycation cases. There's always going to be something to talk about.
Yes. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you so much, Kim. If you guys would be so awesome as to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have a story for us, please submit it to stories@motherknowsdeath.com. And don't forget to check out Kim's podcast, Slaycation.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
weekend,
guys.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.